Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this very snowy evening. If you're in the Greater Toronto area, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm really happy to be collaborating with an amazing guest speaker for this evening's weekly Career Confidence Chat. I am collaborating with the amazing William Beckles, who will be speaking tonight on the topic of leveraging your career for the long haul. As always, this workshop is being recorded so that we can upload it to our YouTube channel and you can view it later on. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the land that we are on. Just one moment. As treaties people on Turtle Island, we are obligated to uphold treaties made from a long time ago. Where I am situated, I would like to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. I also want to thank the First Peoples for their ongoing teaching of how we are to learn on the land and from the land in partnership with each other, the animals, and the plants. So here's a quick agenda. I will go through information about the L.E.A.D org, a bit about our career confidence chats, and myself. We'll go through our community agreements. I'll introduce our speaker, William. Then it's over to William for the main event. We'll have a pause towards the end for you to complete our post-event survey and share your insights. Then we'll come back all together and share those insights and inspirations, and stay tuned for some information about our upcoming events. So a bit about the L.E.A.D organization, also known as the Canadian Multicultural L.E.A.D Org for Mentoring and Training. We are a charitable nonprofit community organization that provides mentoring and training for youth and adults by assisting them in furthering their education via programs, seminars, workshops, conferences, and meetings, and by helping them access pertinent support groups and resources within the community. Our mission statement is to give individuals from youth to seniors the support to develop strategies and tools to create their own success stories. So a bit about these weekly career confidence chats. This is an opportunity for members of the community, whatever age range. It's been amazing to see the different generations come together. And what we do at the L.E.A.D org is we bring weekly career development events from different speakers to help you level up your career with confidence. A bit about myself, I am the program coordinator at the L.E.A.D org. I'm also a career development practitioner and career confidence coach, and I'm very passionate about community engagement and supporting youth, especially with their careers, bringing them through those challenging times and helping them really hone and own their confidence so they can go forward in the direction of their dream careers. A few community agreements to participate this evening includes: please be respectful, be authentic, be open, be present, and be active. We have a great small group tonight, so this will be a wonderful opportunity for interaction. So before I pass it on to William, just want to check in with the audience. What brings you here? Where are you at currently with your career? Please share with us. Is there any specific career challenges that you're having that you're hoping to learn about tonight? Or maybe you're also a career professional and you want to know more information. Joseph, over to you.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to attend the L.E.A.D program when I was in high school, grade 11, I believe. And that was definitely an enriching experience and something that I know has helped me get to where I am now. I recently just graduated from university and now working. So yeah, that's what brings me here. Sort of coming back to the L.E.A.D organization and engaging with the the different events that have been being held so far.
Thank you so much, Joseph. It's a pleasure to see you here again. I really appreciate you coming and being a LEAD alumni who's active in the community. Juliet's the co-founder of LEAD, yes. So shout out to Dr. Juliet Daniel, who's here. And Carlotta says they're in school and switching careers from technical to management. All right, so I think this will be a really great workshop for you to participate in this evening. Awesome, thanks everyone for sharing. So I wanted to include a daily quote that I thought really resonated with this theme about leveraging your career for the long haul. So this quote says, "Go as far as you can see. When you get there, you'll be able to see farther." So any thoughts come to mind when you hear this quote? Get the thumbs up. For me, this speaks of like, while it's important to plan our steps, we can only see so far ahead. So we need to keep moving steps and steps forward, and the path will reveal itself. All right, so now it's on over to our wonderful guest speaker, William. So who is William? He is an entrepreneur and self-taught IT professional with over 12 years of experience. William has always been fascinated by technology and information. His entrepreneurial spirit emerged at age 14 when he learned to fix cell phones after watching a YouTube video. He saved money to purchase multiple broken cell phones since then, repairing them, using spare parts, and selling them. This, along with his experience in the LEAD program, inspired him to pursue a career in business technology. With no formal tech background, William completed multiple internships and got his foot in the door as a medical receptionist, familiarizing himself with the company's computer systems before transferring into IT when an entry-level position became available. He seized opportunities to refine his skills, earning progressively responsible positions. He now oversees a functional area focused on privacy and data governance, and is a founder of CQNCE Technologies, wow, which provides information services to clients in various industries. William is passionate about enabling others to dream audaciously and achieve their goals by finding solutions based on data, intuition, and collaboration. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to William Beckles. Over to you, William.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen here. Bear with me. So thank you so much, Valerie, and thank you everyone for joining tonight on this Wednesday evening. We could be anywhere else, but it's really just such a privilege to be here as a proud graduate of the LEAD program. And I see some familiar faces. I've been attending these sessions as we all have, a proud member of the community, and I've been so encouraged by so many of you in different ways. And so this sort of stems from a discussion that Valerie and I had last year, where we were just casually discussing some of my career experiences since the LEAD program. And it's just a privilege, just grateful to be given a platform to share and engage with fellow members of the LEAD community. So, again, proud graduate. I think, yeah, Joseph. So we were in the same class, I think. So 2011, right? So in the top left there, 2011. Also appreciate Dr. Daniel tuning in to support. Coming up on 20 years of the LEAD program. So it's just great now to be part of a growing legacy. But coming into the LEAD program, as Valerie touched on, I had some experience. You feel you're a kid, you're a young teenager. So had a little bit of a successful business and feel like, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to take over the world. And the LEAD program definitely helped me to shape some of those ambitions and help me come up with some next steps of how to channel that. So I've always been very ambitious about technology. I love to solve problems, love to take things apart and put them back together, and hopefully not get caught because they would work. But big animal lover. My fiance and I have a chameleon. That's him on the top right. His name is Clark. I've been keeping reptiles since I was in the 4th grade. So animals and nature, the outdoors, family, things that are very near and dear to my heart. I love sports as well. So long distance running and swimming, triathlon, these are things I'm really passionate about. As far as my career journey, and Carlotta, I really empathize with your comments as well, right? Like transitioning from technical into management, it's definitely a process, and it starts at the bottom. Like any career, there's a lot of proficiencies that you have to develop. So, breaking into tech without a formal background is pretty much not going to happen. You have to set a foundation somewhere. So for me, that opportunity was working as a medical receptionist at a clinic where they did have, some really interesting computer systems. They had a great EMR system, and I just thought, hey, if I can show, if I can build some comfort here with these computers, maybe I can transfer into IT somehow. So actually, small world, if you were at the session a few weeks ago with Tara, actually her mom was the manager of the clinic at the time. So it's just crazy. She's the one that took a chance on me as a young teenager and, helped set the foundation for my career thus far. So getting my foot in the door, right, transitioning into IT, of course, some skills that I thought I had really turns out they needed a lot of development and refinement. I'm sure we've all been there. So for the next few years, that was pretty much my view, just looking at broken computers, fixing them, testing them, communicating with end users, and trying not to get stuck in the, fixing hardware forever. So trying to progress to servers, eventually managing data centers, and now overseeing information management at the enterprise level. So it has come a bit full circle for me, but it really wouldn't be here today without the chances that I had through the LEAD program and earlier in my career. So I'm hoping to touch on some of those now. All right, so now for a bit of an icebreaker activity. I know with the weather we're having, this island actually looks idyllic. I know I'm from Barbados, so maybe, I might sign up to actually be dropped on this island for a month, but assume it's desolate, assume there's nothing here, just a remote island in the middle of the sea. What's the first item you would pack if you had to survive for 1 month, right? So I'll go first, and then I'll pass it on to Valerie, and I'm hoping we can just pass it through. We have an intimate group here, so we can just sort of share what's the first item that you would pack. So for me, I would pack a mosquito net. Valerie, what would you pack?
The first thing that comes to mind is food. I don't know, some kind of instant food that I could easily make with like a bonfire, because no explanation needed, needs to eat something. I like what Carlotta said, a mirror, so she could start a fire. And when I pass it on to the next person, what about Mary?
I think for me, it would be something warm to sleep in. So something thermal or whatever, because I think if I sleep well, then I can focus on the next thing, which is eating. So who haven't we heard from? Emil?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is having safe water to drink. So it would be something, if there was some fresh water on the island, to sort of make sure that it's safe. But if there isn't fresh water on the island, then to be able to make water from the seawater.
And Juliet says, dried fruits.
Yeah, I said dried fruit and nuts. They can last a whole month. They won't go bad.
True.
Water is harder because to pack water for a month is almost impossible. You definitely need a
sure it's too
filter or
heavy.
some kind of purifier. So, but I mean, if it's an island, I should be able to get water from, you can get water in the mornings from the dew that's on the leaves.
So I love that we're moving ahead now. So round one, because this is exactly what I want to get at, right? People's reasoning. So let's do so Juliet, dried fruit, right? Vincent and Carlotta, what's the first item you'd pick? And then I want to do round two, which is why.
Vincent says an axe.
Okay.
And Carlotta has a mirror.
Yeah, I see.
She can start a fire.
Okay, yeah, she
Gotta
has a
look in the
mirror. Okay,
chat.
so
Yeah.
right, so now why? We'll just go through quickly. So now we all know our why, right? So why? For me, that mosquito net, again, being in the islands, hate the feeling of being bitten by mosquitoes, can't sleep, and hopefully maybe there's a dual purpose if I can fish with the net, right? So Valerie, what about?
Well, we have to eat something, and well, unlike Vincent and Carlotta that were thinking of maybe hunting their own food, I was thinking of just like bring the food with me. I don't know how much I could fit in that backpack, but I'm a bit of a foodie, as you could tell from our beginning conversation. So it's kind of a luxury, but I would love to take that with me onto the remote.
So what can we pass it on? So
Sure.
Mary, did you say your why? I think we touched on our whys a little bit.
Yeah, I said I wanted something thermal so I can sleep and get a good night's sleep, so I can focus on other
Then
things
you can
like
eat.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a quick answer. I think if I had more time to think about it, I would have started with food, but anyway.
Right. And just out of curiosity, right? Because so this is sort of the point I'm making, right? So we know people's whys. Upon further reflection, it might change. You might elaborate a little bit more. But the point of my icebreaker here is that, each of us has the ability to determine, what is the most important thing to us, at a given period of time, and, part of the sort of the theme of the discussion today, right? Confusion to confidence. Those calculations that we make in our careers, in our lives, they are generally based on, a combination of these factors, past, present, and future. So to Mary's point, upon further reflection, we were all given the same problem, right? What would you do right now? What's the first thing you would pick right now to ensure your future survival for 1 month? And we thought about it, but what's our why? We're pulling from past experience. And so those distinctions with a difference, even though some of us, we may share a what, maybe two of us would have brought the same knife, but not for the same reason, and upon further reflection, there's confounding differences. And what are those based off of? So distinctions with a difference. We acknowledge our past, we seize our present. That helps us to create our future. Some of these distinctions, right? I'll touch on 5. So your perspective, are you in control or are you out of control? Do you make things happen, or do you feel like, sometimes, why does everything happen to me? I'm not going to say, one is right or wrong, but you can definitely see the benefit to reassuring yourself that, you are in control. You do have agency. You do have a major impact on the outcome of your own life, right? So your perspective is your point of view. I think if you foster a growth mindset and an internal locus of control, you may start to see obstacles as opportunities. You zoom out and you approach those obstacles in the context of your broader ambitions, and you may start to see opportunities arise from them. Right, your methods. So do you have, some established procedures for accomplishing or approaching the problems that you're trying to solve in your own life? What can you do differently? Are you using proven methods, unproven methods? Most of all, are you protecting your tools, right? I love the image on the left here because, you think about, you need to protect the things that help you move forward, right? So a technician here, we're observing the gears and the tracks of this excavator. That's what helps this machine move forward, right? If the goal is to dig up a foundation, get into position and start building something, we have to take care of the parts that will allow us to move forward, to advance. Okay? Conviction, the third distinction with a difference, and I juxtapose conviction with convenience, because, right, so conviction, a state of being convinced. I think many of us can attest to the fact that some of the things we feel strongly about, or most strongly about in life, we didn't arrive at those strong feelings through, comfort or through ease, right? It's like sometimes our strongest convictions come through periods of discomfort. So, the strength of your persuasion is almost it's the opposite for, your attraction to be dissuaded, right? Like reinforcing your conviction allows you to be comfortable, in the lack of ease, which as many of us know, like a lot of your critical progress will happen in the absence of ease. So you can't be looking for the easy way out on your path, right? So your conviction is your firmly held beliefs or opinions. So you ask yourself, what's driving you to fulfill your goals? What is your long-term vision? And, do you have a clear, focused answer to the question of what can you contribute? It's like, if you can identify what drives you to do what you do, you will understand what you bring to the table and why, right? It's like the saying, you don't have to give more than 100%, right? But if you're doing something that means something to you or meaningful to you, you won't give less than 100. Then fourth, your experience, so on the left here, everything that you've taken in, all the, the pieces of information, the sights, the sounds, the words that you've spoken as well, that contributes to experience that you can apply, right? And I believe that is your superhero, right? Like what sets you apart from another candidate that might have the same skills on paper? It's your application, your experience. How would you apply that in the moment of truth? So the knowledge that you've derived from your direct observation of or participation in events allows you to contribute in a unique way and set yourself apart. So you're asking yourself, what lessons have you learned that might prepare you to make a difference your way, right? So you're chasing excellence your way. Then number 5, maybe the biggest one, attitude, right? A mental position, feeling, or emotion with regard to a fact or state. So has anyone felt like this individual on the left before? Maybe you had a goal, you felt like you got as close to it as you could, and it's like, oh, just wow, right? It's still out of reach, right? I'd like to reframe, certainly I've been there, definitely, right? And in times like that where you feel discouraged, I think it's important to reframe your wins and losses, right? Do you see your goals as too high to reach or too big to miss, right? I truly believe that if you stack those building blocks on top of one another, that will be sort of the next part of the session is, clarifying expectations, but you have to believe that you can, right? You have to believe that you can. And if you understand what it takes, then your goals become too big to miss, right? It's never a certainty, but it's almost inevitable, right? If you do what you need to do, you can prepare yourself to compete and contribute in that arena of your choosing. But then, of course, you owe yourself the truth, right? So just as discouraging as not believing in yourself, misplaced optimism, let's call it, can also be discouraging because it can put you on sort of an emotional roller coaster, right? So you want to prepare yourself. The moment you realize that you can, and you believe that you can, now it's time for the facts. So make time for facts. Has anyone experienced this situation on the left here, right? You're looking at someone and they're saying something to you that you can tell it makes perfect sense to them. No, but to you, you're just kind of nodding along straight-faced, right? It's not really sinking in. It's in one ear, out the other. So I believe that sometimes in our career, it can be the same way, right? Maybe you hear a position or you hear of a role, you catch a glimpse of someone doing something. You don't see the whole picture. All similar, what they say about social media, right? You don't see the life behind that small snapshot. When you see someone receiving credit or receiving an award on a stage, you don't really see the trials and tribulations that preceded that point. So be sure to review real job postings for the roles that interest you. Right? I remember earlier in my career, writing resumes or trying to educate myself, and you Google position X job description, right? And you're not realizing that you're getting these generic templates, very basic information that might not set you apart from a candidate in the same pool. So rely on the real postings. Different people will use different tools, but some that are reliable, of course, are Glassdoor, Indeed, Talent.com, and of course, LinkedIn, right? If at all possible, and this has been really helpful for me, especially for negotiating purposes, it is a bit of a needle in a haystack, but a lot of this information is, it's public disclosure. So contracts, if you can find real contracts signed by real individuals in your field, that can really help you close the gap, in clarifying your own expectations, because it what's the word I would say? It definitely takes some of the sheen off of, or de-idolizes, I guess you could say, that individual, when you understand what's actually expected of them. What do I actually need to prepare myself to be able to do on a daily basis if I want to contribute in this way? Right. So comparing roles, especially Carlota, just going back to it resonates so much with me, right? Like coming in as an entry-level staff, how do you justify, a promotion, or how do you really prove that you're adding value, on a market level, right? How do you show that okay, we're not better off just replacing you, right? Should we really invest in you and see you grow? So it's the importance of comparing different roles against your own skill set, right? See where you are now, understand how many steps away you are from your own trophy, right? And the perfect niche is one that encompasses your passion, a market that desires that passion, and your expertise. So you think about your interests and goals, think about the needs of the market, and you think about your audience. Then we get into the part that can be uncomfortable, right? Gap analysis. You've been dreaming about this big position. You've been looking at individuals, in high titles and in positions maybe further along in their careers. What does it actually take for you to get there? And this can be painful. Objectively, this can be sometimes the least favorite part in the very beginning, because you have to acknowledge that you have room to grow, and you have to be very intentional about taking those steps, because and you maintain the knowledge that as your contributions increase, right, as this skill increases, the value of your contributions increases as well. So it does strengthen your position, not only as a contributor, as a performer, but also on the market. When we talk about providing for your family, or the big picture, having certain goals for yourself. So you ask yourself, what skills can I acquire to allow me to make a difference in the role that I want? Right. Number 3, look beyond yourself. So one of my favorite quotes: if it looks easy, it's being done by professionals. Right. I'm sure we've all seen something at some point being done and thought, hey, I could do that. Maybe I could do that right now. And you pick it up and you realize, hey, like, okay, so and so is a professional. You instantly have that moment of respect for the craft. The time that someone has dedicated. So just the definition here, a disciplined group of individuals. They're prepared to apply their knowledge and exercise their skills in the interest of others. So you think about it as, it's bigger than just you, right? You're preparing yourself to make a contribution in the best interest of others. So you owe it to yourself to spend the time. So dedicate the time, right? my man on the left, we've been here. Sometimes we want to push time back. Sometimes you want to push it ahead, right? Ultimately, you can do neither. So dedicate time to honing your craft, especially earlier in your career, or especially if you're looking to pivot or add on to your role. Seek inspiration and spend time researching professionals in your field and position of interest. Check LinkedIn, right? If you're in a field where individuals release publications, check the qualifications, their experience, their career path. Get a feel for the sacrifices, and the dedication that this individual, has made, right? What might it take from your part to achieve, the same or similar? And then, right, the sunshine list, that's one tool that I had used early in my career, just trying to understand, again, as a homegrown professional, you might not have an idea of what people are actually making, right? And you get lowballed, right, as a junior employee, especially in tech. Anyone can tell you. So how do you actually get to a level where you can provide for yourself, for your family, in a way that you desire to? Well, you need to see what other people are doing who are achieving some of those things as well. Then the last step in looking beyond yourself, remaining flexible and trusting the process that you develop. So if you have a 2-year plan for a 5-year goal, don't scrutinize yourself, too heavily. Just remember that the big picture is always in mind. Try and get your foot in the door. Try to grow. Never say during an interview that you just want to get your foot in the door, however, right? But this position seems like a great place to start my career. I'm excited to grow with the company. I can't wait to contribute and see where this position takes me, right? Always frame yourself as a high performer and, just a passionate contributor, and try to apply for roles in a field where those things can be true. And then number 4, it's building a desirable resume. This is another place I think we've all been, just you feel like you're knocking from door to door, and the key, if you had a key, it would open the door and you would just be in heaven, like all mission accomplished. So how do we get to that point? Number 1, a great resume should be concise. I know we've all heard this a lot, but I like to frame, or present the frame of optimization, right? So if you're 100% optimized, you're thinking about, what value am I adding? Why would I be attractive as a candidate? Well, it's because I can convert the resources invested in me to maximum value for the enterprise, and extract value for myself as well. So you think of your resume as a marketing document, for yourself, as the perfect person for the job, not necessarily as a comprehensive list of your career history, right? Unless you have 15 years or more of relevant experience, you're probably fine with 2 to 3 pages in your resume, especially, for more executive positions. You'll want to be able to sell yourself. Again, what value are you adding to the company in a leadership role, and what is the value of the decisions that you're making, and convey that, right? So you want to be intentional. To have a short resume, every word needs to matter. So moving away from some of the old Word templates, with the page breaks. Now, if we're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn has a very handy export to PDF feature where you can export your profile, and through the magic of file conversion, you can convert that to Word, and now you have a living document that you can just maintain. You can tweak, but the formatting is much cleaner, and you also can incorporate some information onto that sidebar as well. So it's not wasted space, right? Reflect closely on the language used in the job description that you're targeting, and use that to form the foundation of the achievements that you plan to highlight in your resume, right? Try to stay away from overused resume terms, right? Go-getter, detail oriented. These are things that a successful candidate, those are sort of, I expect you to have those in the toolbox, right? What kind of person am I bringing to the team? I'm expecting that I'm getting a team player, a hard worker, an individual that's detail oriented. So try to focus on, again, framing yourself as a competent, a driver, of value, and frame your contributions in a way that presents you more as a developer rather than a follower. Things that you've created and influenced, if that's the case. And then the second from last step, you want to be recursive. So what do I mean by that? Each step you take in your career development process will feed into other steps, right? So the process of generating ideas for a resume, of researching roles, of reviewing qualifications, of revising, of evaluating, each time you have a recruiter reach out to you, or each time you have, you're headhunted and you a job description comes across your desk, would you be interested in this? Better yet, an interview. Interviews, they sometimes go well, they sometimes go poorly, but there's always something to take away from it, right? So that process is recursive because that feedback, that reflection, it helps to generate new ideas. So try to create time each quarter or so to review and update your resume. I recommend creating a baseline resume, sort of a vanilla resume, and then adding revisions, as appropriate, based on each application that you're submitting, and reviewing your resume again after each interview to add the relevant insights, right? A tough question that catches you off guard in one interview may become a question that you knock out of the park in the next interview, right? Because you took the time to prepare. But you would feel sick if the same question got you in 2 consecutive interviews. So, right. So you owe it to yourself to to try and add the relevant insights. And then again, if you notice important keywords and skills mentioned in a job posting, make sure the resume that you're sending highlights your skills in those areas. Right? Like, just ask yourself, how am I being framed as the candidate? And am I the person that I would hire for this role? And then lastly, the big picture, right? Collaboration, like when we talk about leveraging, so to leverage in this case, right, to extract the most out of a given resource, right? How do you really get the most out of your career for the long haul? And I'm 12 years in. Obviously, I'm still early in my career. I would love to be in my career, for as long as possible. But 10 years ago, I couldn't have imagined understanding, what I do now about the field, managing a department, things that, you had to stack one block on top of the other, and no one can do it alone. So draw from others is probably the most important thing that I've learned, right? Draw from others, but also contribute to others. So collaboration unlocks your skills and those of your entire team, right? Therefore, it has a multiplying effect on your victories, because as you make people a part of your wins, it becomes subconscious. You want to win, and you win as a team. Other people will start to see you the same way, right? You start to be a part of their wins, and then you become almost like water in the desert for each other. So I'll just end with some words that I think sometimes we don't hear often enough, or we don't get to say often. Thank you, you're welcome, I can help, I'm sorry, I forgive you. That means a lot. Please excuse me, I'm listening, I'd like to know more, and I appreciate you. So just those phrases, when said genuinely, they can make someone's day. They can make your day, right? If someone comes to you asking for knowledge and asks you these questions, sometimes that can make your day as well. So I think that would be my takeaway. Draw from others. Iron sharpens iron. Thank you again for the privilege of sharing with you this evening. And I'll pass it back over to Valerie.
Thank you so much, William. I love the analogy of becoming water for each other in the desert. Thank you so much for such a chock-filled, valuable presentation. Before we go on to our Q&A and insight sharing, hey Kim, no worries. We are just going to take a wee pause to fill out our post-event survey, and please share your recap takeaways in there, and then we'll come back and share it. So I am going to add the link in the chat so you can grab it from there, or you can also use the QR code if you prefer to fill it out on your phone. Just a moment. So just take a couple minutes to do that. Yes, it's being recorded to answer Kim's question in the chat. All right, so here's also the QR code if you want to use your phone. Please take some time to write a few testimonial words for William as well. He's done an excellent job leading us. So give everyone a minute or two to fill it out. All right, so thank you everyone for taking the time to fill out the survey. We really appreciate hearing your insight and input. Really helps us with the events going forward. All right, now there's some time to ask William a question or share an insight or inspiration you received from this evening. I'm going to choose Mary and then we can pass along. Mary, question, insight, or inspiration?
I do have a question. I'm just wondering, you've talked about, I'm just trying to see if I have your words here. Well, you talk about the big picture and drawing from others. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the impact your community had on your job search or helping you get where you are now. And I mean, it felt like it was, you referenced it a few times, but I don't know if there's like one sort of really powerful experience you had where someone in your community or network really opened a door for you that you just couldn't have done, not that quickly, or at that particular point in your career path.
No, for sure, and I appreciate the question, definitely. I would say before I got into IT, so when I was still working as a medical receptionist, but transitioning again, I had made it known that my interest is working with computers. A person that really played a key role for me was, again, Tara's mom, Kay, who, she wasn't really my friend at the time, I can't say, right? She was like my boss at the clinic, but she definitely created an opportunity for me. So just the example, right? I made it known that I was kind of interested in the data analysis. So if there were any projects at the clinic that would take me away from necessarily the reception desk to maybe behind the scenes, more of an analytic type role, is there any chance for me to add value that way? And she said, yeah, like let me figure something out. And we were just starting a project where it was some analysis of analyzing several databases of patients who had received treatment and trying to tease out. So that, long story short, that was my first experience being able to be a power user in IT in a way that I wasn't necessarily formally trained to be, but this is someone who created an opportunity for me to try and fail. You know, I could have failed badly, but you know, that success definitely gave me the confidence that, you know, when that junior IT position opened, it's something that I could apply for, right? And the fact that I was exposed to the computer systems, I was able to use tools that I might not have been able to access if she had told me, no, your job here is just strictly to work at the desk, and that's it. There's no other opportunity for you. So I think, is that kind of what you're getting at? That was definitely a door opener for me. Just someone, you know, hearing that I wanted to do a little bit more and willing to give me a chance to try and fail there.
That's a great example, William, because I can think of times where people have wanted me to open a door while I worked at U of T. And I've always told them the easy part is for me to open the door. The hard part is for you to go through, because you have to
Exactly.
deliver. And that's exactly what you've done. So that's a great sample.
It's Carlotta here. Thank you for doing this. I really, for you, William, and the organization as well, because I kind of just left my job because I didn't have the skills or the diplomas. So I went back to school. I'm in St. Helena College right now. I'll finish my marketing diploma in December. So as I finish and I go back in, I don't want to stay in a job for 5 years when I'm not satisfied. Every 6 to 18 months, I want to be able to go up the ladder. But this made me become prepared, because I know I'll need to do my gap analysis, fill those gaps, find the right mentors, and see where I can contribute. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that feedback. And I think, especially in sort of the digital space, right? Like, again, I keep going back to your comment really just resonated, because I remember being in that exact situation myself, right? How do you avoid being pigeonholed doing one thing if you know in your heart that you have leadership goals for yourself? And it is about what you just said, you know, like, even 6 months is that's a short turnaround, but like, yeah, the 18-month, like constantly evaluating every 18 month, every 2 years, you know, doing your gap analysis and really seeing objectively how far have you come. I think it's Bill Gates who said this quote, you know, like, we tend to overestimate how far or how much we can accomplish in 1 year, but underestimate how much we can accomplish in 10, you know. So a year from now, you may not have made all the strides that you want to make, but definitely 2 years into a 5-year plan, you know what I mean? You'll be, so be patient. I think it's a balance of like patience and ambition for sure, but definitely underlined by your own competency. So I'm really happy for you that you've taken that step to further your expertise.
Thanks. And just a quick question. If anyone can recommend books on leadership or any business related books, anyone on the panel, and let us know, I'll greatly appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Carlotta. If anyone has any book recommendations, please feel free to type it in the chat. All right, so I see Joseph has his hand up. Thanks for waiting patiently, Joseph. Over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really loved your presentation, William, and I very much appreciate the pragmatic approach that you've brought to this. You've done a lot here to sort of ground the entire process. I liked what you said earlier about sort of de-idolizing the process or demystifying it. And, you know, I think even like the word career is such an abstract and broad term. And so it is important to sort of do practical things like going out and finding a real contract signed by the people that are in the role. That's you know, important. And I also like what you said about, you know, marketing yourself as a developer instead of just a follower. So like when you're applying to a job, you're not just there to say that I'm here to fit in and follow your program. You're sort of demonstrating that you've got your own thing going on. So yeah.
I appreciate that. feedback, Joseph. It means a lot. And I think, you know, like you just said, right there. Hey, and if it's an individual's goal to join a company and to be a part of a team, to be quote unquote one of the guys, there's nothing wrong with that. And a career, it really is just about the goals that you have for yourself. But certainly, if you do want to take a step into leadership eventually, I appreciate your feedback there, and I think it's something that in my experience, right, the more you can frame yourself as a leader, relative to things that you've actually developed, things that you've driven, value that you've added, I think it can only be beneficial. But I really appreciate your feedback.
Thank you, Joseph. That was excellent. I love that you really took away that point about coming into a company, not just showing that you're a follower, but you're also there to contribute and develop, like also acting like you're an entrepreneur or intrapreneur within the company. All right. Oh, thank you, Emil, for sharing the book reco. I've heard lots of good things about Simon Sinek's book. All right, Emil, would you like to share? You're unmuted, and then we'll go to Vincent. Over to you, Emil.
Okay, hi. Well, thanks very much, William. I appreciate sharing your journey. I guess one of the things is something we know, change is constant. And it's both opportunity and challenge. With your career journey, how is AI impacting that?
So I appreciate that question. So, right, to your point, change is constant, right? And I'll take it one step further, right? Growth is a choice. So I've been really fascinated. I'm working with a great team right now to explore some of the potential of machine learning, and artificial intelligence, without I can't go too deep into what we're doing, but it's fascinating that you asked that, because there's so much, whether it's health information that could be used to train machine learning, or the issue of one thing that I'm responsible for, right, when you talk about cybersecurity and phishing. So now if you have, right, generative AI that can produce these unique phishing campaigns, then how do you quantify the productivity loss if you have 1,000 employees that now, instead of taking 5 seconds to check an email, maybe it takes 30 seconds now. How do we improve our security? How do we improve privacy by design to solve for new machine learning capability, and just knowing that things are moving so fast. So, I'm getting worked up talking about it because I am really passionate about it. I appreciate your question, because it definitely has forced some evolution there. But also good to know, right? It's like a machine, it learns like a human. So for the time being, we still have we're ahead of the curve in that these machines that are being trained, they're still having to be fed a lot of information. So we're in trouble maybe once they achieve sentience, but they don't have a conscience. They can't think like us yet. So we're still ahead of the curve there, and hopefully we can stay there.
Thank you.
Good question, Emil. Over to Vincent.
Yes, hi. Okay. So I think one of the points that was made in the presentation that stood out to me was just in regards to like updating your resume, and the reason why is because that actually triggered a memory for me when I was participating in it was one of those like mentor chats with my employer, and so there's like another person in a higher position, just recommending things to do for basically to move up in your career and follow along your career trajectory. So, and that was like one of the points as to like updating your resume, and I actually haven't done that since I've had this job in the public service for 3 years. Like, I've done that resume, I got this job, and I kind of just left it at that. But in the time that I've been at my job, like I've realize now that I've done a lot of things that maybe I should keep track of,
Yeah, you've
and
grown.
take stock of that. All the experience that I have, and I can use that for other positions, supervisor or director, etc.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because that's really the aim, right? And that's a situation that I can relate to myself, right? It's like, okay, you want a promotion, your manager is going to pull up the resume that you have on file, and they're going to meet with HR. And if that resume is 4 years old, you're going to be, number one, you're going to be uncomfortable, right? Because you know in your heart that you've done a lot more than this resume says. But you're going to be held to account to the resume that's on file, right? And if that underrepresents you, then the onus is going to be placed on you. So I really appreciate that. It triggers me too to think about, and yeah, no, definitely glad we're on the same page about that one. Like, regular updates are definitely important.
Thank you, Vincent, for your excellent inquiry and insights. Any other shares from the audience before we wind things down? Oh, Kim also resonated with what Vincent shared. Great. Excellent. I took a lot away from just this presentation and all the conversations that William and I have had leading up to this presentation. So I'm really glad that he could come and share his amazing insights and golden nuggets of information with everybody. So now we are winding down to the end of our time together, but I'd love to let you know about some of the upcoming events we're hosting at the L.E.A.D org. So I will actually be presenting at our next session, which is going to be on Wednesday, March 1st. I'm going to be doing a workshop about LinkedIn. It'll be kind of a beginner's guide, but we'll have lots of amazing golden nuggets of information there to help you level up using LinkedIn. It's a must-use platform. And we also have another L.E.A.D alumni named Dali Perez. Can't remember if William and Dali, if you were in the same cohort or maybe years apart.
I think so.
Okay.
I believe
yes.
we were in the same cohort. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Dali has a very amazing story, including, being a participant in the L.E.A.D org and how that changed the trajectory of his life. Coming to Canada as a refugee youth, having to start over again, nearly leaving school, and then encountering amazing mentorship and guidance through the L.E.A.D program. He's now a civil engineer and salsa dance instructor, podcaster. So check him out the Wednesday afterwards. And we have a talent acquisition specialist. You don't want to miss out on Tangier Lee. He's been in my network for the last few years, very knowledgeable in terms of career development, career coaching, helping you live life to your best ability. He's also coached me. So I'm excited for him to go. And of course, we have our very own Emil Boychuk. I'm just going to hand it over to Emil to describe what his presentation will be about.
So I think I'm going to be talking about using mapping as a tool for planning. It's a holistic, it's a neat way of seeing connections. So beginning with knowing yourself and different aspects of your own personality, taking that to looking where do you want to go? I think, as William was talking today, it's so important to have agency, to take control and know that you are the decision maker that creates your life.
Very empowering. Thank you, Emil. We look forward to attending your workshop and always appreciate your support of the events here at the L.E.A.D org.
Thank you.
So you're very welcome. Check us out on social media at L.E.A.D org, Twitter, and our YouTube channel, where you'll find our latest, most recent career confidence chats. This video will go up there soon as well. And with that, I really appreciate everyone coming this evening. We will see you hopefully at next Wednesday's event.
Thank you, guys. Everyone stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.